Welcome, deep divers. All right, get ready, because today's deep dive, it might just shake up everything you thought you knew about success. Seriously, imagine this. What if the way we've all been taught to chase our goals, climb that ladder, what if it's actually, well, wrong? It sounds pretty bold, I know. But that's the challenge, really, from the source we're digging into today. Our mission here is to pull out the absolute must-know insights from a book that's, honestly, it's more than a book. It's a global movement. We're talking Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And look, this isn't just some random self-help guide. We're talking over 30 million copies sold, translated into 40 languages. It's really shifted how millions think about life, about work. So think of this as your masterclass on its core ideas.
Exactly. And what jumps out right away, what the source really hammers home, is that real success, the kind that actually lasts, and isn't just about what you do. It's not the checklist, the promotions, the likes you're chasing online. No, it forces you to see that effectiveness. Real success, it comes down to who you are. It's all internal. That's where these habits start, inside.
Right. And that's the hard truth the source really gets at, isn't it? It explains why so many people, even when they're working like crazy, chasing the money, the titles, the online validation, they still feel, well, stuck or just empty. You've probably seen it, maybe even felt it yourself, right?
Yeah.
You hit that goal and you think, okay, now what? So what does this all mean? Why does this happen?
Well, Covey nails it. He says most people are just living reactively. They're constantly, pushed around by circumstances, blaming the boss, the traffic, bad luck, whatever. The source uses this great image, like being a leaf tossed in the wind, no control, just reacting. Think about this example from the book. Manager A, deadline missed, they just yell. Blame everyone. Manager B, same situation, steps back and asks, okay, how can we fix this together? Now, just think for a second. Who would you actually want to work for? Who builds trust?
Yeah, no question. Manager B, obviously.
Exactly. And that difference, that choice and response, that's Covey's whole point. Real effectiveness, lasting effectiveness, it starts inside you. It's about choosing your response, not just getting triggered by stuff.
Okay, that feels pretty radical, actually. So how is this inside-out thing different from, what most of us try? Because usually we try to change the outside stuff, right?
It is radical. It's a complete paradigm shift because it's not about just tweaking your actions or trying to manipulate what's happening around you. Covey's core idea is that real power, true effectiveness, it flows from your character, your principles. And what's really interesting is that the source doesn't frame these habits as just like handy tips or life hacks. It says they're fundamental laws.
Yeah.
Think about gravity. Seriously. You can ignore gravity if you want, but, well, you know what happens. You stumble, maybe worse.
Right. You can't negotiate with gravity.
Exactly. And Covey suggests these principles are the same. Ignore them. You'll probably keep struggling, feel like that leaf in the wind. But understand them, apply them. That's when you start to genuinely, thrive. It really gives you that why this matters. These aren't just nice ideas. They're like operating instructions for a fulfilling life.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That definitely raises the stakes. So if these are laws, not just suggestions, how do we actually start living by them? Which brings us, to the heart of it.
Yeah.
The 7 habits. The source lays them out with this real energy, like bang, bang, bang. The ultimate game plan.
Yeah.
So what we want to do now is unpack each one, make them practical. How can you actually use these starting today?
Yeah.
And they build on each other, right? Moving from like getting yourself right, first the private victories, to then succeeding with others, the public triumphs, and then keeping it all going.
Absolutely. Let's jump right in. These are the foundations. Okay, habit 1, be proactive. Now, this is way more than just, taking initiative. It's about fundamentally shifting your mindset, moving from feeling like, oh, I have to do this, to realizing, no, I choose to do this.
Yeah.
It's about taking back your power, recognizing that even when things are tough, your response is always, always your choice. You don't have to be a victim of your circumstances. The source uses a simple, great example. Stuck in traffic. Instead of just sitting there fuming, letting it wreck your day.
Which is easy to do.
Totally. But the proactive choice is, okay, lesson learned, tomorrow I wake up earlier. That's proactive power. It's about owning your part, taking responsibility, even for things that feel external.
That's such a key difference. It's not what happens, it's how you consciously decide to respond. So how does someone even start doing that if they feel totally caught up in reacting all the time?
It starts with focusing your energy. Covey talks about your circle of influence, the things you actually can control versus your circle of concern, all the stuff you worry about but can't change. You put your energy where it counts, in that circle of influence. And that flows perfectly into habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. This one.
Wow. It's about knowing where you're going before you start running. The source has this exercise. It's pretty intense. Picture your own funeral.
Oh. Yeah, it's sobering, but the question is deep. What do you want people saying about you? Who do you want to be remembered as? What really mattered? And the challenge is stark. Write that down. Write your personal mission statement today. It forces you to figure out your core values, your purpose, before you get caught up climbing some ladder, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall.
Got it. So you design your life based on what truly matters in the long run, making sure your daily stuff actually lines up with that vision, not just reacting to whatever pops up.
Precisely. And if you know where you're going, then habit 3. Put first things first makes perfect sense. Now, this isn't just another time management trick, although it definitely helps with that. It's about prioritizing what's genuinely important over what just feels urgent. Covey stresses that not everything screaming for your attention actually deserves it. It's about carving out and protecting time for the big stuff, the things aligned with your mission. He says you need to guard that time, like a CEO guards their calendar. Protect it from the endless stream of less important, urgent distractions. It really boils down to discipline, having the guts to say no to the trivial so you can say a powerful yes to what truly counts.
That clicks. You're making sure your schedule actually reflects your values from habit 2, not just your overflowing inbox. Okay, so those first 3 are really about mastering yourself, right? The private victory. How does this then shift to how we deal with other people?
Great question. That's exactly the transition. We move from those private victories over ourselves to the public triumphs in our relationships. And that starts with habit 4. Think win-win. And crucially, this isn't about compromise, where everyone walks away a little unhappy.
Yeah, where everyone loses something.
Right. Win-win is about genuinely seeking solutions where everyone benefits, finding that third alternative that's often better than what either side wanted initially. The source has this great line, "Life's not pizza, sharing doesn't mean less for you." It's about having an abundance mentality, believing there's enough success, enough credit, enough good stuff to go around, instead of seeing everything as a zero-sum game. So in any interaction, any negotiation, you're fundamentally asking, okay, how can we both get what we need here? How can we both win?
That changes everything, doesn't it? Shifting from competition to collaboration. But to actually pull that off, you need a pretty specific skill, I imagine.
You absolutely do. And that skill is habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is huge. It's the art, the discipline, really, of deep, empathetic listening. The source puts it bluntly. Listen, really listen. Like, stop interrupting. Stop planning your brilliant comeback while the other person is still talking. Just listen.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But it means truly trying to see the world from their perspective, understanding their needs, their concerns, their feelings, not just the words coming out of their mouth. Before you jump in with your own ideas or solutions, it's the bedrock of real communication and trust.
It really is. Our default is often to just wait for our turn to talk. But without that deep listening, win-win is probably impossible.
Exactly. And once you've truly understood the other person, then you can move to habit 6. Synergize. The source doesn't just call this teamwork, it calls it nuclear. It's about creating something where the whole is way, way greater than the sum of its parts. 1 + 1 = 3 or 10 or 100. It's about genuinely valuing differences, seeing diverse perspectives not as problems but as opportunities, combining different strengths to create outcomes nobody could have achieved alone. Think about something like Apple, right? The source uses that kind of example. Designers plus engineers equals magic. It's celebrating those unique viewpoints and using them to spark innovation.
Yeah, that's where the real breakthroughs happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where different ways of thinking collide constructively. Not just putting up with the differences, but actively leveraging them.
Precisely. And then holding it all together and making sure you can actually keep doing all this effectively is habit 7, sharpen the saw. This is all about continuous self-renewal. The source gives us that crucial reminder, you're not a machine. You can't just run forever without maintenance. It stresses renewing yourself regularly across 4 key areas: your physical health, your mental state, your social and emotional connections, and your spiritual core, whatever that means to you.
So the practical things.
Yeah, the practical stuff. Sleep, learn, meditate, exercise, connect with loved ones, spend time in nature, whatever recharges you. This habit isn't just about preventing burnout, though it does that. It's about intentional growth, making time to regenerate so you can actually increase your capacity over time, not just coast or decline. And that warning from the source is so potent. Burnout is not a badge of honor.
Oof. Yeah, that one hits home. It's about playing the long game, right? Building a sustainable way to be effective and fulfilled. Wow. Okay, looking back, these habits really do weave together, don't they? It's like building a house. You start with your own foundation, being proactive, knowing your purpose, prioritizing. Then you build strong relationships through win-win, understanding, and synergy. And finally, you maintain the whole structure by continually sharpening the saw. It's a complete system.
It really is. And that brings us right back to that core idea. These aren't just suggestions. The source insists they are laws, like gravity. They just are. Their effects happen whether you pay attention or not. And the message is pretty clear. Keep operating reactively. Ignore these principles. You'll probably keep feeling stuck or frustrated or like that leaf in the wind. But start consciously applying them. Really work to integrate them into who you are. That's the path to genuine effectiveness, that deep fulfillment that goes way beyond just ticking boxes or getting external praise.
So, okay, we've unpacked all this. We understand the habits. Now what? Here's the challenge, coming straight from the source material. The call to action for you listening. Don't get overwhelmed trying to do all 7 at once. That's a recipe for failure. Instead, the advice is simple. Pick one habit this week, just one. And the source gives some really concrete starting points, like maybe this week you just focus on choosing your reaction when something frustrating happens, instead of just blowing up. That's habit 1. Or maybe you block out just 30 minutes. That's it. For some important but not urgent task, something that moves your big goals forward. Habit 3. Or maybe you make a real effort today to really listen to someone important to you. No interrupting, no advice unless asked, just understand. Habit 5.
Yeah, and the crucial thing here, the real takeaway, is that just knowing these habits isn't the point. Reading the book, listening to us talk about it. That's step 1. But the transformation happens in the living. Taking that knowledge and actually doing it, day by day, making these laws part of your internal operating system. So for you, listening right now, it boils down to this. Forget knowing it all. What's your first move? Which one principle are you going to consciously practice, starting now?
That really is the question, isn't it? If these habits work like gravity, like fundamental laws for being effective, then what does start now really mean? It means the power isn't out there somewhere, waiting for conditions to be perfect. It's right here, right now inside you. It's a choice you can make in this very moment. So which law are you going to start living by today? Which one feels like the key to unlocking that deeper effectiveness, shaping the person you truly want to become, and ultimately the life you want to live? Something to think about.